Hi, my name is Lily and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be reviewing The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharpe. Before we begin, I should just let you know that I did receive this physical ARC for free from the publishers in exchange for this honest review. I have not been paid in any other way and I have not been influenced by them to give a positive review. This is the ARC cover, as you can see, and this is closer to what the actual cover is going to look like when you buy the book. And the physical book comes out on the 4th of February. So let me tell you what this book is about. This is a young adult thriller with a lot of mystery elements and some action in there as well. This is about Nora, and Nora has been raised by her mother, who is a con artist. Throughout her entire life, she's been forced to take on different personas by her mother to help her con these men, and each girl that she becomes has to be this different ideal perfect daughter to help her mum produce this squeaky clean persona to con men out of their money. Through these different girls that she's been, she has learned lots of different skills and life lessons. When she was 12 years old, things got to a point where she had to escape. So her sister, who is 20 years older than her and has escaped her mother's clutches, helps her to escape from her mother and the current Mark at that time. We're now with Nora in the present day. A few years later, she has a girlfriend and an ex-boyfriend and a very complicated relationship with both of them. They're meeting at the bank to deposit some money that they raised for a charity, but when they go into the bank, they very quickly become involved in a hostage situation in which two bank robbers are trying to steal something from the bank. Nora has to use her skills that she's learned through her life as a con artist as a child to help them to escape this situation alive. So this book, honestly, it already sounds really amazing and fascinating, but somehow it's even better than it sounds. I'm just going to start this review by saying that I gave this 5 stars. When I ran it through Corpile, it got a 9.8 because I just couldn't, everything was a 10. I gave it 9 for one thing, and I think that was logic, and the only reason for that was because there was a couple of things I felt could have been explained better, but it really didn't affect my reading at all. This book is just so perfect for me and I absolutely adored it. I think the best way to structure this is to go through the Corpile order, because I think that's going to be the only way for me to explain how I love this book without just going, it's amazing, you need to read it. So let's start with character. We follow, for the most part in the present day, 3 main characters who are Nora, Wes and Iris. Obviously, Nora is our main character and that's who the book revolves around. Iris is her new girlfriend and Wes is her ex-boyfriend who she has a very complicated relationship with. And I loved all 3 of them. Nora makes some really interesting choices. Not everything she does is right, and there's a lot of grey area in everything all of them do. And I love that they've all come together because they have these broken backstories and that they are finding a family within each other. They're also likeable and warm but flawed at the same time. They are arguing, they are causing each other problems when they should be coming together, and it just felt really, really realistic of how broken teens would interact with each other, and I just wanted the best for all of them. Then we get to atmosphere. Now, this book's atmosphere was incredible. During all of the scenes during the hostage situation in the bank, I was so tense. I was genuinely worried for what was going to happen to all of them. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if they were all going to make it out alive. And that atmospheric writing was just it was amazing. And then we also have these cutscenes where we go back in certain chapters to look at Nora's past life as the other girls she's been, and we get to find out about the cons that happened and the things that went wrong, and the atmosphere in those were really good as well. Each one had a very distinct atmosphere depending on the Mark and how her and her mother's relationship had developed at that point. I felt like you could really see the transition in this book of how as a child she begins off wanting to please her mother, wanting to be this perfect daughter her mother wants her to be, and as she gets older you start to see her question things, start to see her grow some resentment towards her mother and see that she's not as valuable to her mother as a person as she is as an object that she can mould. And I really loved seeing that writing change through the atmosphere, through the tension that was created between the two of them and between Nora and the Marks that she is currently working on with her mother. So next up we have writing. So the writing I think is really, really good. This is lots of short and snappy chapters that make you want to keep reading and think one more chapter, I need to find out what happens next. The placement of the cutscenes back to her previous lives are so well timed because they're always at that exact moment where you're like, no, but I want to find out what happens next in the bank. But when you get to go back and see more about her life as a con artist, it was so fascinating, and you didn't actually hate that she'd cut back then, and it was very compelling, and the pacing was perfect in my opinion. Considering the hostage situation obviously only lasts for a few hours, the way it's written doesn't feel drawn out, and it doesn't feel over dramatized. Everything that happens, every conversation that happens has an importance, has a meaning, and I really appreciated that. I didn't feel like there was any wasted time in this book. Then we move on to plot. So I can't really tell you too much about the plot because this one is full of plot twists, and I really liked that. And as much as there's some predictable elements to it, you can see things coming, this book doesn't make you feel like you're missing anything by figuring it out. The way it's revealed is still satisfying because you know theoretically what's happening, but you don't quite know the emotions that are going to come with it. And I think that was the special part of it, was sometimes the plot was predictable, but that wasn't ruining the story for me. And I found it was actually very logical and it made sense. I thought it was incredibly well thought out. And as much as it's quite far-fetched, I'm not going to lie to you, you know, a hostage situation, a con artist as a child, none of this is particularly everyday circumstances, but I really didn't question the validity of any of these experiences because I thought it was all written from a very genuine standpoint. Intrigue, well, this is a thriller and the mystery elements to it were all very intriguing. You would kind of just get to the end of one slight mystery and another one would be introduced and you think like, well, what happened there? And then another one would be introduced and you want to know what happened there. And I think the slow reveal of each of the past lives of Nora is really, really good because every time you find out what happened to Ashley or Hayley or one of the other girls that she was, another girl is introduced and you want to find out her story and what happened to her and how that impacted Nora. And I really loved that. And I thought one of the fun elements as well is that throughout the book, the mystery is what was her original name, her actual real name that her mother gave her before she became someone else. And I like that was kind of kept as a mystery and held close to her chest because it added that element of mystery to Nora. Now, logic is the only one I took a point off of, and that was just because I do kind of wish some things were a little bit more explained than they were, but it really doesn't take away from the story. 9 out of 10 is still amazing for logic, especially from me, because I'm often one to spot the plot holes. And I don't think I found any plot holes. I did go through this book incredibly quickly. I read it in one day, if that sells you on it at all, but I do think the logic wasn't lacking for me. Everything made sense. I followed it all. I wasn't sat there thinking, well, that's ridiculous, that's overdone. Everything felt realistic. And I like that whilst this is full of gangsters and con artists and thieves and bank heists, it felt grounded in reality and it wasn't overdone in the way that some thrillers tend to go over with the action and make it feel unrealistic. This one definitely felt very grounded in reality, which really helped keep me in the story. And finally, we have enjoyment. This got a 10 out of 10 for enjoyment. I was sat there wanting to go back and read it every single time I put it down. I picked it up after work thinking like, oh, I'll read for an hour and then I'll cook dinner and maybe I'll finish it before the month is over. And I just didn't want to stop reading. I kept wanting to go back. And while I was reading, I didn't want to stop reading. I just wanted to keep going and read one more chapter. And I got about halfway through the book and my boyfriend was like, are you okay? And I just looked at him and I said, I need to finish this book tonight, like I need to. And I stayed up until 1 AM finishing this book, which is not that normal for me. I will do that if I have a little bit left of a book, but I very rarely will stay up so that I can read a whole book in one day. So that really tells you just how incredible this book is. So, this book. I was blown away by it. I didn't know what to expect. Thrillers aren't always my favourite genre because I do find them unrealistic at times, but when I get one that really grabs me, I am always blown away by it, and this definitely sits in that category. I cannot recommend this highly enough. If you liked Karen M. McManus, I think this would be a really great one for you, but also I think if you enjoy adult thrillers, this one would be a good one to pick up. The only thing I would say is there are definitely some trigger warnings from this book. As you can imagine, there is a lot of child abuse happening as she was a con artist as a child, and there's also mentions of child molestation. So if you need any more details about that, please just get in touch with me and I can give you some more information. I'll put these trigger warnings down in the description below in case people don't get to this point in the video. They are handled very sensitively in my opinion. Nothing is incredibly graphic, and I think that lends itself well to being able to be read by a wider audience. So just to remind you, the ebook and audiobook in the UK are out on the 26th of January and the paperback is out on the 4th of February. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope I've inspired you to pick up this book. If you have any other YA thrillers you'd like to recommend to me, please put them down in the comments below. I'm definitely interested in this genre. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to see more content from me. All of my social media links are down in the description below. If you want to leave me a comment to let me know that you are here, please leave me a little fire emoji down in the comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!